So this time around I have Bandai's Cammy White from Street Fighter, and this may be the first premium figure I've ever owned. This was kind of my inspiration. I was reading a book and it was showing some of the Street Fighter figures, not the Bandai, but I think it were Neko and some other figures, and I just fell in love with them. And even though I didn't really buy any of them, I was looking at what was out there, and this was one of the figures, which is Cammy, and then some others. And so I've done a bunch of videos on Mezco, and the big difference between this and Mezco is that this one has no soft features on it. The clothing is all molded to the figure. It's all plastic, PVC, and so like the this little harness here, it's just molded to the figure. It's not separate. The beret's not separate. Everything is just well, not one piece, but it's various pieces together, but everything is plastic. And the big difference is that what you have here really is kind of engineering. You get to see all of the engineering, and so I think that that's a nice change of pace over Mezco. I like them both. I like the authenticity of Mezco. I like the engineering of the Bandai figures. And you could see some of the decisions that are being made, and then later on I'll be able to show some other figures. But you look at the joints and how smooth they are. They're very smooth on this figure. We have bicep rotation. We have the elbow joint. And then they made some interesting decisions here that later I'll show another figure how they handled it differently. You could see that I know that one of the complaints about the figure is that you have the crease in her bottom, and so this piece comes down and then her legs, and you'll see another figure where it's done completely different, and there's pluses and minuses to each one. One of the things here, I think one of the issues with this figure is that the braids are huge. They are on a hinge, but her head is permanently forced down because of those braids. And so there's really no way to make her so she's not looking down. So here's the Amazon version of her, and it's very shiny. I don't know why it's so shiny and mine is so dull. I don't know if they put oil on this thing or what, but that's certainly not how the figure looks. And I kind of expected that, and when I got my figure, I was actually wondering if it was a bootleg, but it's not a bootleg. It's definitely the real thing. I've never gotten a bootleg. I've read reviews on Amazon of people getting bootlegs, but this is clearly not. But I don't know why this is so shiny on here, and you can see that massive braid going down, and it says there, Cammy from Street Fighter 5. And it is interesting, you go in here, what are the buying options? And it starts at $200. So this figure was probably a $40 to $50 figure. As I always say, I don't know if anyone's paying these prices. So you can see here, this is a picture of Cammy White from Street Fighter 5, and it's pretty darn accurate, from the hint of a red sock to the lack of camo paint on her legs. In other versions, she's got camouflage paint. So here's another version. This is from, well, that's also Street Fighter. No, this is Street Fighter 2. So she's got the green camouflage on her legs, but I guess they didn't go with that. It's almost exactly the same. Here is the Bandai website, and it shows all the different Street Fighter figures that they have. The most recent was Sagat in May of 2020, so they haven't made one in well over 2 years and have nothing slated. So Cammy White was one of the early ones. It's from 2017. So I don't know if they've stopped making Street Fighter figures. They were making it at a pretty good pace, a couple every year. And well, actually in 2018 they made 4. but nothing recently. So I don't know if they've quit or not. Her face is, it's hard to say what Cammy White necessarily should look like, but this is definitely more of an anime type face. I don't know that I necessarily recognize it as the arcade version. She does stand very easily. That's good. So, there's her face. I don't have any screenshots of the in-game face, but I did find this to be a bit anime, not exactly indicative of her face in the video game, but they did a neat job on the hair, those tufts of hair jumping out there, and the paint is all gorgeous. I don't really see any slopping of paint around. Like I said, the joints are all very nice and smooth. She's got ab crunch. Like I said, the only real issue is the neck being forced down, and then I guess if you have a problem with the crease back here, the obvious crease. But very nice knee joints. All around a very nice figure. In fact, I can't really demonstrate here, but she is able to hold a kick pose all on her own with no brace or anything. So it's a very well balanced figure. You could put her into a lot of different poses. And that's the advantage of having an all plastic figure. There is a little bit of obviousness in the shoulder joints. You can see the gaps in there. So different figures handle things differently, and I can show also the evolution of some of the design decisions over the course of about 3 or 4 years and how things changed. So that's Cammy.